I just think that we need to start probably now setting expectations that there is no Avengers Assemble moment. There is no I am Iron Man snap moment because there's nothing built up for that.
Let
That
me.
doesn't mean there can't be good moments, but there's no build up to these
Well,
moments.
actually, I just thought of something.
That's a great defense.
Right. I think that's the big
Okay.
moment.
I absolutely applaud you. You completely changed my mind with that. That's awesome.
What up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Cosmic Podcast? Cosmic Wonder Podcast?
Ooh,
I can't remember. Did I say...
Well, we didn't land anywhere.
But I've been saying one thing the past few podcasts, and I think it was either Cosmic Podcast or Cosmic Wonder Podcast. Regardless, welcome, everybody. I'm one of your hosts, Warren, or Cosmic. Yep, that way, Chris.
We have checked out the comments and the Discord. Like a lot of you guys have been putting your thoughts, the things you want. The number one thing a lot of you people are asking about is our favorite movies. Now, we have a direction we're headed in at the end of the episode, so be sure to stick out to the end if you want to hear about some of our favorite superheroes with movies to come down the road. All right, Warren. So what else? The drama. Where's Marvel going? What's happening? We've got a lot of that. But what else has really happened in the last week? Because with all the Doomsday and Spider-Man news, like definitely lots to discuss. We're talking about it. You know what the problem is?
Yes. No, I don't know.
There's a lot, but the buildup is just, it's not going to, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get that buildup. Think to Endgame. You have the big portal fight. Everybody shows up.
Right.
And what happens right before that? Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor do their little, pregame walk down where we see just their legs. And what is that shot for this movie?
Well, you know what? Let me.
There isn't one.
No, there's not. Let me add to this. I saw something. I think I saved it.
Because it really goes down to.
Here it is, right here. Oh no, I lost it. It's somewhere. Oh, you know what? I think I have it in a tab right here because it goes exactly with what you're saying. Right here. It was Daniel RPK. It's not like a leak or anything. It's just like a thought. He says the problem with the Multiverse Saga is that there's no clear main character. In the Infinity Saga, we had Tony and Steve showing up in nearly every other movie alongside other characters. Now, Shang-Chi hasn't appeared in 5 years. Spider-Man is the only hero with more than one solo film between Endgame and Doomsday, and Yelena is the only character who's shown up in multiple different projects throughout the saga before Avengers, since Spidey only appeared in his own films. But Spider-Man isn't in Doomsday, at least not in a major role unless they add him later, so technically Yelena is the only one who fits the bill, but since all her projects have underperformed, the general audience barely even knows her. So to your point,
I think that's a completely valid thought. We're sitting here discussing it. It doesn't exist. Like, what are we building to? Nothing.
And that's the thing. There is, it sucks that there really isn't that much buildup. The last buildup that we got was, all the buildup that we got, Captain America Brave New World with the thing where he's like, oh yeah, what happens when they come from other worlds, blah, 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 blah. And then the Thunderbolts, and then the Fantastic Four. Yeah, it's a little lackluster.
It's a little soft. It's a little soft. You think back to what was the moment. So what are the moments in the theaters, which is the best part of going to the theater? Tobey Maguire walks through the portal and everybody loses their freaking mind.
Right. Yeah.
Captain America picks up the shield and says Avengers Assemble. What is that moment for Doomsday? Like, there's a couple comic book covers that people would like to see. Like maybe Doom killing Thanos or Spider-Man getting the suit. But that's not quite the same. Like, there's no big build up to that. Those are like little Easter eggs. Not we've been waiting to hear Captain America say Avengers Assemble for 20 years and we're about to get it. Or pick up the hammer. And we've had
which was teasing
exactly.
Ultron.
We've had this whole discussion too about, the Infinity Stones and all these different relics and things that have been, littered through the multiverse, through the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't exist for Doomsday. Do I think it's going to be a really awesome movie? 100%. I think they're going to do a really good job writing this big super battle. And I'm going to want to know what happens in Secret Wars and hope we jump to that. And I hope it's a 2-part movie and all those details.
I hope it's 2-part.
But I think as far as general satisfaction goes for, years of building up a story, it is a little lackluster. It's a little soft. And there's nothing they can do to change that. There's just, unless they're going to postpone Doomsday for 5 years.
No, there is, but they won't.
And they're not doing that.
Yeah,
they're not doing that.
They're not. I would have them postpone it. I would have them give us.
Yeah, that would be your vote.
Yeah, no,
Feige
total.
calls you right now and says,
I,
pick what we're doing.
Hey, Feige, stop it. You need Doctor Strange 3. You need, if you're bringing back Scarlet Witch, you got to have a Scarlet Witch movie.
Yep.
Doom can be involved in that movie. And I would almost say you have to have some, like, I'm sorry. I'm in love with what they're doing with Spider-Man Brand New Day right now. It's the last movie before Doomsday. You have to connect it somehow. You have to. Mm-hmm. And like Daniel RBK saying Spider-Man's not in Doomsday. Why? Yeah, we need an Avengers movie. Why would you not do that?
We almost need like an Avengers versus Thunderbolts movie where they go through something.
Yeah,
and become,
you know
like,
what they should do? Civil War Part 2.
Honestly, it's better than just skipping over it.
No, really. So and do World War Hulk. Like they should do stuff in between and really start to build it up. That would be my vote. I would postpone Doomsday and Secret Wars a year.
Who are the suggested Avengers right now, just off the top of your head?
Here's the thing: is we know everybody. Right? That's another thing. Is like
there's
not a lot of surprise. Like the story wise, sure, but we know who the Avengers with a Z are. We know who the Thunderbolts are. Mm-hmm. The new Avengers with Sam is your Shang-Chi post credit scene. Shang-Chi, Wong, Captain Marvel, and then you have Sam, and then you have the people of Wakanda and Bruce Banner, and you know what I mean, like Captain Marvel.
You sound bored just saying those names.
Rambo. Well, no, because it's just like. I just really hope they nail the story, and we're hearing
that's really the only thing they have.
You know?
It comes down to Doom, right? How compelling
that's
can you
why
make
it's
Doom?
so exciting. Like I've said this so many times. I am one of the people who's excited that it was Robert Downey Jr. I was like, you could do so much with this. It's awesome.
Yeah,
and now they're like, hey, they're considering keeping him after Doomsday. I'm like, or after Secret Wars. Like, oh yeah, that's fine. I'm okay with it still, right? I would like to. I need the backstory. So if you can give us the backstory in a new universe, fine, right? But we need that backstory. If Robert Downey Jr. stays on board, I almost feel like we need a Victor Von Doom movie that really explains everything, because you can show his childhood and then you can show him everything that he did, Doomsday, Secret Wars, and you can almost make it to where he's like, everyone thought I was a villain, but I was just trying to save everybody, yada, 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 to where it's kind of like you see that he really is, like he thinks he's right. You know what I mean? But in like a more believable way than Thanos, where Thanos wants to kill trillions of people. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where it's like just...
Well, he's almost taking revenge on the universe.
Well, and he was too, right? Yeah. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of that with Doom. But if... I need that movie if Robert Downey Jr. is going to continue to play Doom after Secret Wars. I think it's necessary. I really do. Especially because Doom is a character who needs to be around for like ever, basically.
No, I'm on the same page where I was equally as excited probably as you are. I remember obviously when it happened and we immediately both started texting in all caps back and forth to each other.
It was San Diego Comic-Con. We're both actively watching.
Yeah, just hyped as hell because who saw that coming? Like nobody. And it was kept a secret and it was awesome. And good job, everybody.
It was kept a secret. Good for them.
And Marvel's gotten better at their secrets. I will give them that. They have gotten better at their secrets.
I just keep thinking of Frodo to Gandalf. Fine, keep your secrets. That's all I'm thinking as we're talking about secrets. Anyways.
But I'm fine with RDJ being replaced post. But that's because I'm Mr. Slash the whole thing. And
no,
start over,
I'd be okay with it too. Like I wouldn't be upset in the slightest. But I'm okay if they keep him as well. If they really dive into and this is like part of the issue. We should probably get a Doom movie before. Or some type
we are getting a Doom movie. Like that's the Doomsday, I suppose.
Right, his movie. And you know what?
But I would love to see him in a Scarlet Witch movie being like all like 30% of the film is about Doom and Scarlet Witch, bringing her back to life and kind of telling his backstory in that movie, because Scarlet Witch is heavily connected to Doom in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
So you could easily do Doom telling Wanda his whole backstory. Now we know Doom. We know the reason. There's a lot of connections there.
Right. You know what?
And then you could even have Wong show up and say, Wanda's back. Like he knows. Like he has a magic charm to tell. And now we're getting somewhere.
Well, this is actually, now that you say that, this is what I would do. I would delay Avengers Doomsday a year maybe, and I would do Doctor Strange 3 and the Scarlet Witch project, and I would have in the Scarlet Witch movie, well, Strange finds out about the entire multiverse thing, right, with Clea and all that stuff, and then you could almost have it to where maybe Clea and some of the followers, or some of the people with her, because it looks like she has like a team, are some followers of Doom. And you can even go the Robin Malal story where they don't really know it's Doom. It's just some crazy figure who is trying to save the multiverse, but some people think that he's actually trying to destroy it. You can do that in Doctor Strange 3. Then you have them find out that it is Doom. And then you go into a Scarlet Witch movie where Doom actually brings her back. If she is dead, Doom actually brings her back. And he doesn't have to stay there the entire movie. He can explain some things that are happening, and he can attempt to recruit her, and then he can leave. She could say no at first. I need to atone for some things and blah, 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 blah. He can leave. And then at the end of the movie, she can say, the best way to atone for what I did is to try and save the multiverse. And stuff can happen during the film to where she can go, oh, this guy's right. The multiverse is coming to an end. So at the end, it shows her going to Doom and saying, okay, let's do this. I'm on your side. Boom.
Yep.
Going to Doomsday. That's how I would have it.
Yeah.
That's huge build up.
And during that same year, you can have a Shang-Chi movie come out where he's been working with Wong and one or two other things going on. And now you have a lot more connectivity.
Yeah.
I would even want an Avengers Thunderbolts movie. Like those three movies.
Too, yeah.
I don't even need Doctor Strange, but that would be. But I need probably those four movies. We need four movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
We need Doctor Strange. We need a Scarlet Witch and Doom movie. We need Thunderbolts versus Avengers, and we need a Shang-Chi movie. Like we're missing all of that lead up, which goes right into what Daniel RPK said. Like, none of these characters have even been on screen, much less with each other. Like 5 years since Shang-Chi, and now he's gonna be one of the players we're most excited to see. It's like I've seen him once. It was a good movie, but I haven't had 15 years of emotional development built towards this character. Right. He did a really good job, but that was it, you know?
Right. And it's funny because you think back to these, like the original saga, like it focused on just a few characters, right? A handful of characters. And those characters were the Avengers, right? Now we're like, what is going, like, who are all these people? You know what I mean? Like, why? Like, and that's the downfall of doing so much on Disney Plus.
Yeah. Well, that's really come around to bite them. And as we're sitting here discussing it, like, we know it. But I think as we're like having these more in-depth conversations, because we do a lot of the live streams, guys, and but when it's just you and I sitting here talking on camera, but off live, like I'm getting more like analytical about it. And I'm kind of realizing we might actually be in a little bit more trouble build-up wise than maybe I even appreciated. Now, story-wise, there is room for that to be saved.
Sure.
But there is a big build-up problem. Like there is no big explosion. There is no Avengers Assemble. They need to crush Doom. If they're not going to delay, which we know they're not, and they're not, Spider-Man isn't going to really connect nearly as much as it probably should. Not, no. So it's like Doomsday's coming out, and there's really no direction towards it. Well, we've got a couple Z's tied onto some outfits like that. Like
and it doesn't feel like it did for when Infinity War. Like, and that's the thing is honestly, it's not gonna like when we got the Infinity War trailers, it was like, holy crap.
Yeah, the
like
world
this is a giant movie that
event.
Right, that's bringing together so much of what has happened. But that story was really tight. So the end of a tight story was really exciting. This is kind of like there's a bunch of pieces everywhere that don't even really tie together.
I just think that we need to start probably now setting expectations that there is no Avengers Assemble moment. There is no I am Iron Man snap moment because there's nothing built up for that. That doesn't mean there can't be good moments. But there's no build up to these.
Well, actually, I just thought of something, but I think it comes in Secret Wars more than Doomsday. I think actually the build up is the characters from other universes coming together. The Multiverse Avengers Assemble, and that's technically been built up since 2000. Right? Yeah. When they first started. So I think if you have the OG X-Men,
that's a really good defense.
Toby
that's
Maguire
a really good defense.
Spider-Man, you have Andrew Garfield Spider-Man.
See? That's a great defense.
Right. I think that's the big moment of Secret
So we're really
Wars.
relying on these Elseworld characters.
I think that's what it is.
To show up. I mean, I will be most excited when Toby gets on the screen.
Exactly. So, like, I think they realize that there's no build up in the 616 universe. But you know what? Overall, maybe it's all been building to this.
I really hope all
since
of you
X-Men
people
and
listening have made it this far into the podcast because this was a really good resolution. I
Yeah.
feel better now. I feel way better now. I'm going to have to go and add a disclaimer at the
Maybe
beginning.
a
Watch until
disclaimer,
now
yeah.
because there's a good moment where it all starts to make sense again.
I think
Because no, that
yeah.
does make me feel a lot better because you're not wrong.
Yeah.
We are going to get these flashes, and I kind of tunnel visioned in on the Avengers. But when we back out a little bit and we
Yeah.
start seeing
Yeah.
the Fantastic Four from old times, we're going to see the X-Men from old times grouped together. We're going to see characters who are dead come back
Yeah.
to life. Deadpool's going to pop up at some point. We are
Right.
going to have, you know, the moments. You know,
Maybe-
Toby and Tom
Exactly.
and Andrew are going to be together again.
I think
Okay,
we
that
thought
makes
a
me feel a
little
lot
too. We
happier.
thought a little too.
We did, but we got there.
Right, when we needed to be thinking about a bunch of different universes, because
Yeah.
that really is what it's about. So
The crescendo
I
moment
think that's
in the
what it
finale.
is. Yeah, I think that's
That
what
makes
it
me
is.
feel way better. What a good time. What a good time we've had.
Maybe we'll have to put this in like maybe I'll have to chop this up and put this in the beginning or something like that.
Or
'Cause
we
I
need
don't
to
know-
stay until this minute because
I
it
don't
does
know
get better.
how many people are watching. I don't
Well,
know.
y'all better have been because this is where big things happen.
Yes. Boom.
But realistically, no,
Big
I do
thing.
like that, and I think that does give me a big solace. I think you piece
Right.
that. Maybe that's even worth doing one of your daily videos on, like the big picture.
Yeah.
Like, what is the big picture of Doomsday? Because
Yeah.
I think we are comparing it to Infinity War and Endgame. This is bigger.
Mhm.
The scale is 10 times bigger.
Mhm.
But what we're comparing it to is kind of giving us that, well, this is what Iron Man was doing. And this is what this is a whole different thing because this goes past before even that.
Yeah.
And we got a
Exactly.
taste of it in Deadpool and Wolverine, and
Yeah.
we loved Deadpool and Wolverine. That one moment where all those characters came into the tunnel and they're playing
Yeah.
that music, and
Yeah.
like, how
Yeah.
awesome was that? Like, that's the
Amazing.
moment we're building up for on a bigger scale.
Exactly.
So no, I absolutely applaud you. You completely changed my mind with that. That's awesome.
What up? It's on the internet forever now too.
Boom.
A rare moment where someone on the internet has changed their mind about something.
If it was me, I'm super stubborn.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it away for a second from Marvel because one of the things I'm most excited for is Peacemaker season 2.
I saw a commercial today for a trailer today. I was watching a YouTube video, popped up.
Yep.
I'm so excited. Actually,
I mean, we watched.
I don't
the
get
first
this
one
excited
together.
about shows.
Yeah,
we did.
yeah. We watched the first season together when we still lived in the same place. It's got a 98% rating on the tomato meter right now with 41 reviews in. So critics love it. Typically, audiences like the film more than the critics do, especially when it comes to
that's a good start.
superhero stuff, right? Like
Yeah,
critics
specifically.
can be overly critical, I feel like, sometimes on superhero stuff. But I mean, I saw some things that were like, you know, John Cena might be, I can't remember exactly what it said, but it was basically like John Cena was literally born to play Peacemaker. I'm not sure if anybody else was born to play a role like John Cena was born to play Peacemaker. You can,
Okay.
but I mean, I would, you know, Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man.
Oh, there's
slash-
definitely some arguments, but that's what makes them the most iconic characters,
Right.
right?
Right,
So that's
no,
part of
right,
what makes
yeah.
Peacemaker so good. Is I actually wasn't even paying attention to the YouTube video I was watching. I was doing something on my phone, and I heard John Cena's voice, and I looked up, and
But
I
you
was
didn't
like,
see him 'cause you can't see him.
Well, obviously, there was nothing on the screen, just voice.
Just a
And
voice.
I was like, that's super, super cool. Like, hearing the voice gets me excited. I
Right,
recently watched his project. I can't remember the name. It's with Idris Elba and him, Head of State.
Oh, I never saw that.
So good.
Was it
So
really? I gotta
good.
watch that.
It was so good. And it's because John Cena's fantastic, you know, and Idris
Yeah,
Elba, what
yeah.
a legend. And he's the president of the United States, and he's the prime minister of England, and you know
Right,
they hate each other,
yeah.
but now they need to save the world. And it's like, what a great time!
That's
That's a
cool.
fun movie. That's
That's a-
exactly what
yeah,
Marvel needs to
yeah.
start doing. Is these fun movies, get these
Yeah.
fun actors,
Yeah.
not just because they have name recognition or because they're popular, but because they can embody that fun environment. And that's exactly what John Cena and Idris Elba did in this movie in their own personal way, and it just was a fun time. So everybody go ahead, check that one out. I want to say it's on Apple TV, but I could be wrong. I'm going to say Apple TV. But yeah, that was a
it's out there
fantastic movie
somewhere in the ether.
in the Twitterverse.
But
But yeah, so John Cena, super excited for Peacemaker.
yeah, because it is fun, right? But it's really funny because it's like, okay, maybe it's just James Gunn, man. Like he has a good, like does a great job at just like taking really serious
Putting the pieces
things.
together.
Right, but it's also really fun and funny at the same time. And I know like some people for like Superman, they're like too many jokes, not enough time to be serious. I'm like, I don't know. I felt like No, I felt
Kind
like,
of wanted to be lighthearted a little bit.
well, I mean, it just goes back to that feeling again. It's like, I do just want to have fun. And that, like I said last time, that is how I felt about Superman. I was like, dang,
That's an
this
important
is a
detail.
fun movie.
That's why we go to the movies, guys,
Right,
is to
yeah.
have fun. Like, I don't go to the movies to get pissed off. I don't go to the movies to
Right.
get hypercritical about CG. I go to the movies to enjoy myself. And if we're
Right.
not doing that, then we've probably lost the plot a little bit as fans.
Yeah.
So when you hear John Cena's voice and you perk up a little bit because you're like, this is gonna be fun,
Right.
you know, that's a good sign. That's a really good start.
Great sign. Great sign. So Peacemaker season 2, I was actually thinking about this as I was, thinking of topics for today. And I was like, Peacemaker season 1, I think is up there with like one of my favorite superhero shows. I know, like for me, it's like WandaVision, Loki, and Peacemaker. And
Okay.
like Loki's number 1 for me. And I combined season 1 and season 2 because I just,
That's super
I
funny. did
loved
the exact same
that.
thing on my list I have right here.
There
I
you
wrote
go.
Loki 1 and 2 together.
1
I
and 2,
smushed it.
right. I just, man, I cannot get over, like, I just randomly sometimes, like probably at least once a week, I'll go through some scenes in the MCU, and that Loki scene where he is at the Citadel, like grabbing all the branches of time, and then he sits on the throne. It's such an epic scene. Such an epic scene. And then just the He Who Remains thing at the end of the very first one, it's so great. I'm so like, okay, let's talk about this. We've heard over, I think it was like a couple weeks ago or something like that, but basically like we heard the news that Marvel was already planning to move away from Kang because, before
He wasn't
before
big bad material.
Right, he wasn't big enough. And before Quantumania even came out, they decided like, hey, we're probably moving away. I don't know. I call bullcrap. I'm just going to say
You don't
that.
believe it? I
don't
think people love
believe
Kang.
it. This is why I don't believe it, because I reported that and I was just like, hey, what does everybody think? Like, this is their reasoning. And everybody else was like, no, like Kang was awesome. And
Well, we did
have
almost
been advocates.
100 videos on it, right?
Right. We have been advocates.
We did almost
for
100
Kang,
videos throughout
yes,
that whole thing.
for such a long
the comments
time.
are always like, bring him back. I don't care.
To
like,
this day,
he did
people
something
say
wrong.
bring back
We don't
Jonathan
care.
Majors and Kang.
We don't
Yeah.
care whatever happened. Who was right? Who was wrong? We loved Kang, and I completely agree with I loved Kang. He
loved
played
Kang,
multiple
yeah.
different characters. He nailed every single one of them. They each felt different and unique. And Victor Timely, like
He's
there's
a
not a soul on the
phenomenal
planet
actor.
that didn't love Victor Timely.
No,
Like,
right,
it was
yeah,
so
I mean,
amazing. It was so
He's
amazing.
a
So I agree with you on
actor. Yeah, it's 100,000,000% Marvel's fault for doing what they did to him in Quantumania. That was like one of the dumbest decisions they could have ever possibly chosen to do. Is like, why Ant-Man? Why have him killed by ants? Like, I don't understand. This is the big bad. You were going into
you
was
think-
like going into phase 5, right? It's like it was such a big decision that they just made poor decisions on. Like, I don't understand the thought process behind it. I don't know how it got past Feige. I really don't. I question him now because it's like,
I'm a little darker than you are, so I know my answer. We've learned this in this podcast and live saga that we've been doing. I'm just getting older and grumpier, maybe. But
okay,
would you have had Kang kill Ant-Man?
story-wise, yes.
I think I would have as well.
Story-wise, yes.
So let's say they're not lying and they were maybe considering leaving Kang. Fine. But let's say they are, and they were going in a direction with Kang up until all this outside of Marvel stuff happened. You have Kang kill Ant-Man. He becomes iconic.
Oh,
immediately.
Yeah.
Just absolutely immediately.
Right. The reason I say in story-wise is because I love Paul Rudd, and I love him playing Ant-Man, and I want him in the Avengers movies. But if you want to go down the route of really setting up your big bad, yeah, he kills him. Now, again, I question why in Ant-Man you could have had him in something else, right?
Right.
Something like the Scarlet Witch going up against him and him beating the Scarlet Witch is a lot more impressive than him beating Ant-Man. You know what I mean? Right? Or
well, it's definitely more impressive than him, which he did. to an army
losing
of
to Ant-Man, right?
in the quantum realm.
There's a lot of things that could have been more impressive than him losing to Ant-Man. I mean, like, it just, yeah. I'm not hating on Ant-Man, but you look at his
I mean,
power
just
set
realistically,
and,
yeah,
right,
realistically.
and you're just kind of like, Kang should have wiped the floor with him. Especially, they actually did a really good job in Quantumania of making you feel like he was legitimately a super crazy threat. He's like, have I killed you before? All of them start to blur together. I've killed so many Avengers, I don't even care. And then we heard a new report this week from Alex Perez of the Cosmic Circus that said originally the plans for Kang Dynasty were Kang created a new 616. There was an original version that did have the X-Men, that did have the Fantastic Four, but Kang removed them because I'm assuming the reason he removed them was because he thought they were going to be a threat. So I don't know how you remove something, but I'm guessing he fought X-Men and the Fantastic Four as well and came out victorious. So you're telling me this guy's fought Thor, Iron Man, this guy's fought X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and then he loses to Ant-Man? What the hell
in his own home field advantage?
Right. Yeah. He has a whole army. And he still loses to Ant-Man.
Magic trick guy. Like, yeah, no, that's so it almost doesn't matter what their plan was with the character, whether they did that to harpoon the character or not. This is a rare situation where the actor carried the character and the writing held it back. This actor embodied Kang in every opportunity and every version that we saw. You know, when we saw the post-credit scene that we're never going to get any closure on, most likely, and there were different versions of him all in one room. Each one had that personality. Victor Timely had this whole different thing going on. He Who Remains was like the ultimate one. But the thing is, He Who Remains, you heard his speech. You heard him talk. You heard him explain and how calm he was after millenniums of standing there doing what he was doing. And you kind of rooted for him a little bit. You were kind of like, I kind of get what he... You kind of liked him.
No, you definitely
Which was kind of the whole thing with Loki, because people kind of like Loki. So now you have Loki, who you kind of like, and then over the time has developed this. People love Loki now because he's done it. So then you're looking at this guy and you're like, wait a minute, I don't know who to root for here. Like, I love Loki, but this guy is making a lot of sense.
Well,
I kind of get what he's saying.
That's the thing, is He Who Remains made total sense. And even at the end where Loki's like, well, I'll do this, and he's like, but that stops the multiversal war, right? Like, you know, he's just kind of like He Who Remains was just like, dude, I've thought about it from all points, right? Like,
this was the only way to stop me.
It has to be this way. What is the line he says? He's like, you came to kill the devil. Well, guess what? The devil keeps you safe, right? In his mind, like, it's kind of funny. Like, you have to think about it. Like, the dude fought in a war, and like a pretty crazy type of war, like this big multiverse.
Not even comprehensible still to the MCU.
Right, still not that comprehensible. Universes stacked on top of each other, visiting each other, and you're basically killing yourself, which has to be psychologically just crazily hard, right? You're like, oh gosh, like, you know, you have nightmares about that. And then you harness this crazy thing that was created, Eliath, and you kill everybody, and then you're like, well, how do I stop that from happening again? And you know, how do I keep people safe, essentially? And that's how it works. And it's really funny because it's, well, again, like psychologically, it's like, well, how do I do that? Well, I have to save people from me. So I have to make sure I am not anywhere. And also, the X-Men and the Fantastic Four might be able to kind of put up a fight against me. So let's cut them off, right? So
we'll get rid of all these people. Because Kang was sitting there manipulating the Avengers, right? We get to the TVA, and Loki was like, well, what about all this time travel that the Avengers did? And he was like, well, that was supposed to happen. Right. So he was happy with the Avengers. They were contained. They were in his little fish tank. He was watching them like a pet.
I'm not worried about these guys.
It's like, no,
I'm not worried about the Avengers. But
it's
I lost
such a cool moment, though. Yeah, but Ant-Man killed me on my own home turf with all my technology that I had. It's like, what? So, no, it does go back to that. And this is where we get, you know, talking the timeline of the MCU post Endgame. Okay, Sylvie kills He Who Remains. He looks at her and says, see you soon, and then dies. We then revisit his dead skeleton in the chair later in Loki season 2, which is incredible.
Right.
But to what end? It just
even when they get to the end, he goes, I told you, reincarnation. Like, it's still him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like,
that's the crazy part, is they really did set him up to be just so big. And you know what? I think people watched Loki and Loki season 2, and they thought, yeah,
what we could have had.
This is awesome. And even in Quantumania, I still think people saw the post-credit scene and went, holy crap. Holy crap, that's amazing. Just for Marvel to, I don't know.
Ignore
the
it,
trial
probably.
thing's really messy. Obviously, we don't support any type of abusive behavior, you know, like that. But this wasn't like a definitive thing. It was very like could have gone either way. The trial really could have gone either way.
It seems to me like it was a private matter that should have been handled probably more privately.
That's what I said too.
And it's like,
yeah, because clearly it was both of them. To me, it was both of them. It wasn't just him.
Yeah, it's a Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing where it's like
that might be.
It's just a big mess.
It's a big mess.
Well, maybe. Yeah. I mean, they were both. I think that in that scenario specifically, they were both. It was probably a little bit more advanced with Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, but they were both involved, right?
Well, of course.
And that's the reality of it is
it's living, all that
right.
stuff.
So it's a little bit more involved, but even this specifically, the case that was built up, like we followed that very heavily.
Yeah.
And it was
we talked everything about it. And again, I didn't think he was going to be guilty. It is what it is. But even like his charges, I feel like weren't huge. Marvel preemptively fired him in their heads, I think, and then they were just like, we just gotta wait for a trial, and then we'll say we're done. And I think that's the main reason. All of this to just say, yeah, I don't think Marvel was serious or being genuine when they're like, oh yeah, we were already kind of moving away. How can you already be moving away?
But like, why?
Quantum Mania? Because you wrote a crappy
so far everything was good
for it, maybe. Like,
because correct me if I'm wrong, but had you heard the same thing that it wasn't actually originally going to be Kang? So I remember a report, it would have been years ago at this point, that Kang wasn't originally going to be the big bad, but they had such positive reactions from Loki and from his projects.
You're right.
That was the original report, was they actually kind of switched it around. Kang was going to be the big bad, and then or wasn't going to be the big bad, and then they're like, everybody loves him.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what?
So that's just not true.
You just proved that they were lying.
It's just not true. Because there was a whole report 3-4 years ago, maybe, like how Kang swept on the stage and everybody fell in love with him and he wasn't going to be the big bad, but they rewrote it for him because of how much everybody loved him. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, before Quantum Mania even came out, we were going to get rid of him. It's like, it was literally the opposite.
It was
literally the opposite.
He wasn't even going to be the big bad, and you saw how awesome he was and made it. And I remember that because they were like, oh, actor, like Owen Wilson and everybody were like, wow, this guy's amazing.
He was terrifying.
Yeah. Well, what could have been? I mean, it's quite unfortunate. What's really interesting is there's been some drama at Marvel recently. Have you heard anything about that? Have you seen anything about that online?
Actually, I've missed all of the drama.
All right, so I guess we're just gonna dive into this first. It's a little eye-opening, but you have to really see it from both sides, and I'll explain what I mean as we get into it. But you know who Beau DeMayo is, right? The writer of the X-Men 97. He was fired.
Okay, so I have seen a little bit, yeah.
Right. So this is why I say you have to see both sides of it, because he could be bitter about the whole thing, and some of this could be, like a hyperbole, could just be really over-exaggerated, or he could be 100% telling the truth. Who knows? But there's been a lot of talks recently because I think it was the Direct. They I don't know if it was an exclusive by them, but that's where I saw the report where they were talking about Nia DaCosta said that there was a lack of a solid script for the Marvels, and that
I did see that too, yeah.
Right, yeah. So she basically said,
so people starting to point some fingers at the higher up development, basically.
Right. Well, and it's funny because this is kind of what James Gunn, his whole base of the new DCU is based off of we're not doing anything until we have a script. Right? It doesn't necessarily mean that script has to be 100% done. But to have most of it done and every big idea finalized before going into filming is a really good idea. And what's interesting is, they put this out and now Beau DeMayo is basically like, hey, it's nice to see others speaking out about this finally. It's not just directors. Actors deserve a finished script so they can dig in and make discoveries of their own, bringing depth and layers to their performance. When an actor gets totally new pages for a scene the night before they shoot, have zero time to memorize their lines or even discuss them with the director, you get an inferior product. They can't even track the emotional through line. Note how Harrison Ford, an actor known for deep preparation, speaks about his experience. No amount of Marvel Studios magic can outwit a century's worth of filmmaking 101. Again, you can get the movie made, but your cast and crew will be exhausted and abused during the process. It's a lot.
So I have a question. Those are some pretty aggressive words.
Yes.
Exhausted, abused, movie 101.
Yeah.
Do you think, at a thin layer, because I don't think it's on the top or the base, but do you think you can feel that coming through some of the early Phase 4 projects? Because I think that was really when that was going on. Kevin Feige was spread thin. Disney was demanding project. We're aware that this happened. It's not like this is an allegation. Like, we know that these things happen.
Yeah.
And you feel that in those early projects, that exhaustion, that need to get something done.
I think you can, for sure. One thing I would say is I felt it a lot for Captain America Brave New World. Like, you could tell that movie was chopped up. And, you know,
tired.
right. You could tell it was chopped up. And you could tell that it really suffered because of that. And recently, when Harrison Ford was asked if he would go back to Marvel, he straight up was like, no. And I'm actually thinking now, like, this is probably why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you go into something and the script's not done and it gets changed a bunch, and like the whole story basically, you know, a lot of the story got changed for Captain America Brave New World. And like, what's interesting is I liked Brave New World. I didn't think it was like amazing by any means, but I thought it was solid, right? Kind of like a decently good movie. It could have been really great if they just waited. I mean, they pushed it back so many times because they were chopping up so much, but if they just waited, we could have gotten a pretty good movie. And I think if they really thought about it, they would have realized, like, okay, we need to do a lot more to set up Sam as the leader of the new Avengers team. Like, I just think if they would have just taken more time and like really just like got the script like the way they wanted it.
Because that's that big disconnect right now.
Right.
It's like, where are the Avengers? We're jumping into this big Avengers like finale, and we don't really have any established teams, which for Infinity was fine because that was kind of the setup. That's what they were going for.
Yeah.
But now it's like, well, nobody really knows each other. They're arguing over things like copyright claims. Like, where are we actually in the MCU as we're about to have Doom drop in and be like, hey guys, listen to everything I need to say. But I think that is like the big thing we're seeing. It's going to show up. We're going to see a lot more evidence because right now we only have the one project from James Gunn. But they actually recently asked Kevin Feige, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but at that big like open table meeting they recently had for the first time in a while, they asked him like, are you going to start doing what James Gunn is doing? And he basically said, no, this is our method. We throw stuff at the wall and we see what sticks and we do it around that. He didn't say it in that sense, but he kind of stood his ground. He's like, no, this is the way we do movies. That's great for James Gunn, but we produce a lot and then we release what's good.
Yeah. Well, what it sounds like Kevin Feige is saying now is that, like, look, we have a script going in, but we kind of like adapt on the fly, right? Like, actors have ideas, directors have ideas, we have ideas as we keep going on. It's like, oh, we do a scene and it makes us think of something else. And I'm like, yeah, like, I get that. Like, I think that is necessary because that can result in really great inspired scenes coming out of nowhere. But you have to have a solid base. Like, you have to have a lot of the really big ideas flushed out. And like, I think about Rebecca Romijn, who plays Mystique, who played Mystique in the old X-Men. Now she's returning. She got a chair. They asked her if she's done shooting, and she was like, I don't know, because the script isn't done yet. And
right. Like, I literally don't know where I fit in.
Right, exactly. And
so like, we know she hasn't died yet.
Well, and to be fair, with Infinity War and Endgame, you know, they didn't give people all of the script. Right?
No,
you know
they
what
absolutely did not. So
right.
there is a security level there.
Right. There is security relevance. That's a perfect way to put it. Right? Like, it's the same thing for Infinity War and Endgame. You know, Doctor Strange didn't know what was going to happen with Thor, right? Benedict Cumberbatch didn't know what was going on with Chris Hemsworth. Basically, it's like, but
they knew their line and they stayed in it.
Exactly. But I also kind of maybe see that as a problem a little bit, because it's like, I think you have to, it's kind of like Bodamayo said, like, acting, like, to tap into emotions and preparing everything.
You gotta know where you're going, right?
Right. You have to know, like, the grand scheme of things as well, and like the people in the scene with you. Like, you can't just like get a script and be like, all right, you're in a scene and there's other heroes in it. It's like, no, you have to know who's in this scene, blah 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 blah.
Well,
so like,
I definitely think there's some reverse like programming there where you kind of start at the end and work backwards. It's like, okay, so the goal of my character is to end up here, like the Iron Man snap.
Right.
What do I need to do to get there? And let's do that backwards.
Yeah.
And you've got, in Infinity War, for example, the scene on Titan and the scene on Wakanda, like, they don't know what's happening on either side. Maybe
Yeah.
some of them do. Maybe, Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr., who are probably even a little bit higher up, have more of that information. But nobody really knows what direction they're leading into. Now, in this case, it worked, right? And so there is that argument, like Infinity Saga, the finale, Endgame, like these are movies that people knew their part and they moved on, but it was cohesive and it was good.
Right.
Maybe a big part of that has to do with the directors, who we already know they're probably a little bit more like, we know what direction we're going in. They wouldn't even sign on for Doomsday.
Sure.
I'm talking
Right.
Russo
No,
brothers.
right. Yeah.
So they might be a bigger part of the puzzle than people maybe appreciate. So I think that's important to know that they're coming back is a big relief, because we're going to see that cohesiveness through them specifically. And maybe that's why James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy were so good. Maybe he had that same effect where, well, you guys might not know what you're doing, but I know what I'm doing, and I'm going to keep this project on a straight and narrow
kind of
path.
like a leader. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which the Russos would definitely be the leaders for that.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And actually, you know what makes me excited for DC is I really like the fact that Superman introduced a big universe right away. We had the Justice Gang. We had Mr. Terrific.
Mm-hmm.
We had a Green Lantern, Guy Gardner. We had Hawkgirl. They showed us the mural inside that showed a lot of other members from the past. They told us, hey, superhumans and gods and monsters and everything, they've been around for 300 years. I'm like, I like this. And a lot of people are like, it's so funny because it was kind of hypocritical. Because a lot of people were like, oh, there's so many characters in this movie. I hope it doesn't take the focus away from Superman. And then the movie comes out and I see a lot of reviews that are like, oh, Justice Gang, like I wanted more time with them. I wanted to like dig more into their story. What are you talking about? You just said the whole point of them being there was to not steal the show, which they did in the scenes they were in. They were fantastic. But it was to establish, hey, Superman is not the only hero in this universe. And the heroes cross each other's paths a lot. And that should definitely be something that's happening in the MCU, especially when you have so many characters in like New York or California, right? It's like, I feel like Marvel lost that when they were like, oh, we're going to try to make like these projects that are just like so one-off and not connected to these other things. It's like, no. We like the connectivity.
That was the magic.
Right.
That was the magic.
That was the magic. So, and now even with their Disney Plus shows, they're like, oh, we're going to make stuff that, it's not going to be about super main characters, you know what I mean? And it's going to exist in the same universe, but you don't have to watch it to watch these other things. It's just kind of like, I'd rather you do one show a year and have it be a banger and connected
like
to
super
everything.
important. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But
it'd be really cool if they came out with a show. And this is all just hypothetical and pointless to even say, but it'd be cool if Disney Plus had a episode release every 2 weeks that weaved in and out of the movies as they happened in real time, and then the show just kind of carried on in the background. It was called Marvel Civilians or something like that,
just
and
like
you'd see different
show.
things, but it was like constantly happening around what's happening in the
It's
MCU.
like a
the problem is
show almost
exactly like what it should be, but the problem is they don't have a direction enough to do that. Like they have changed their direction in their minds so many times, which is the one thing I think James Gunn is going to do better than Marvel has been. Whether Marvel changes its tone and does something different for the new phase 1 or whatever, phase A, I don't know. But they couldn't do something like that. And that's why the TV shows don't make sense, because how do you connect them when we're changing our mind on what we're going to do with the Captain America movie 5 minutes before it comes out?
Right,
like, how do you create a TV
kidding.
show that intertwines with that when you've changed it 95 times? You can't.
You don't.
People aren't on the same page.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. And that's why, like, moving forward, like Feige should have a talk with James Gunn and
isn't that crazy how the
how
tables
do I
have turned a
handle
little
the
bit
X-Men? Because
wild,
James Gunn, I think, has an over, like he said, like, yeah, we're making movies like for their own things and the tones are going to be different, but he does have an overall plan. He already announced like the Superman saga with the family. You know what I mean? It's just like he has an overall plan, and the thing is like Superman felt connected, but to what? There's no other movies to connect to.
There's nothing else to connect it to, but it did still feel connected. It's like, whoa, I love this place.
Right, the DCU, like the universe.
You got the Gotham sign on the highway.
Right, on the highway.
Little things like that Marvel's kind of lost a lot of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And DC is going to be great at that. So Marvel needs to pick it up. But the thing is like we're out of time.
Well, yeah, it's
They're
too
out
late
of time.
for
But for the new saga,
go make
they-
a couple good movies and
Right.
start over.
I'm optimistic because, again, I think the Russo brothers are going to handle this very well. And I think the next Spider-Man film is going to be a banger. Like, I really
It's
do.
gonna
It
be
looks
really, really good.
fantastic. It really does. And, yeah, I'm excited to see what Supergirl has in store for us and just the DCU in general.
Peacemaker.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of great projects coming out and a lot of stuff to be excited for.
a lot of stuff
but
to
I
be
do
excited
think-
for.
As we have done in this super duper Wondercast today,
Boom.
if you do really break down Tony Stark differences about the Infinity Saga and the Multiverse Saga, there's some pretty clear holes and differences from
No, there
what
are.
we had and what we got to what we're probably getting. But that's okay, because a couple episodes ago I talked about, I am genuinely super excited for the reset.
Right.
I don't think it's a cop-out. I think it's necessary.
No, they do.
I
in
think
comics.
Marvel's always
Yeah.
played the game with its arm tied behind its back, rights-wise. So now, where we're almost at the point where we have everything, let's do it. Let's go have some fun with it.
Totally.
And they can get back to those simpler roots. It just got too
Yeah.
complicated, and then Disney demanded stuff, and it just got lost a little. But
Yeah.
I don't think that means they won't be good. I don't think that means Secret Wars won't be good. I don't think it means they won't make money and they'll be big flops.
I am excited for Doom, and we've been hearing a lot of the stuff, and even today, we've heard that he's going to use the fact that he looks like Tony Stark to his advantage. I'm like, yeah, he should.
Obviously.
You can't just ignore the
Obviously.
fact that he looks like Tony Stark.
Doesn't make any sense otherwise, right? Like,
Why bring Robert Downey Jr. back? The Russo brothers have something in mind, right, that we don't know about. That light bulb moment that went off in McFeely's head, and then they talked to the
Light bulb.
Russos, and they were like, "That's it. That's the story. We're getting." Like, something happened, and for some reason, it was Robert Downey Jr. because he was already involved. Right? He was trying to get the Russos on board. Right? They kept saying no for like a year, and then finally something happened, but it involved specifically Robert Downey Jr. playing Doom and Iron Man, right?
Mhm.
So it's something, and I want to think that we just have no idea. We've heard rumors, we've heard reports, we have theories, but I would love to think that it's just for something that we have no idea about. But I think we do. I think something that has been reported or we've heard is true.
Well, it doesn't make sense otherwise. And I think that goes really nicely with what we started talking about today on the Wonder Supercast of superhero oddness.
Nailed it.
That was what we were calling it, right? But we started off talking about James Gunn versus Kevin Feige, and were the brothers the glue that kind of kept the Infinity Stones closing in order. Because they're involved in this project, and based off of everything that we've heard about this project, I find it really hard to believe they don't have a direction. They don't have a plan.
Well, that's
And already
yeah.
a big part of that plan and that direction.
Yeah.
So it's inevitable,
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, they have to have again, what gives me comfort, like you said, is the Russo brothers said no a lot for a year until finally something happened and they're like, that's it. Right? So they have a big idea. And they have I'm going to assume they have, like we talked about this, I think they have like 85% of the story done. There's like 15% they're still trying to figure out. And that might be like, hey, how do we figure out a massive fight scene with like 50 characters? We have to figure out all these little crap. You know what I mean? Like,
by the way, 90% of them have no idea what's going on with
exactly.
the multiverse.
Right. Yeah. It's like the Endgame battle. It's like, remember they had originally this scene where they were all going to get together and be like, what do we do? Like, what's going on? And like, there's no like ranks that they have, right? So it's kind of, and then they cut that, right? So I think it's probably similar. Like there's going to be so many people in the cast, and it's just kind of like, okay, well, how do we handle everybody in a giant fight at the end? Because that's a Marvel thing. We're going to have a big giant fight at the end, right? You know what I mean? With a lot of different people. I think it primarily will probably come down to like 5 main heroes fighting Doom, and then the rest are like fighting Doom bots or like variants that are on
Different
his team. You know what I mean?
groups.
So I think like that stuff is kind of what they're figuring out. I think they probably know what they're doing with those 5 main characters fighting Doom, but it's like, okay, what about these other people on the side? How do we do that? That's a great way to end this, but we hear you all wanting the top 5s, the top 10s. We're going to get into those, but we'll end this with, we don't have, it's nothing we've prepared. Maybe Chris has, he's been writing stuff down. I don't know. But I thought, let's just do What are some of our favorite superheroes?
Okay.
For the people who are new to the podcast, maybe just getting to know us, let's go through just some of our favorite superheroes. It really is hard to say like favorite superhero. I typically gravitate towards Batman for myself.
Number one, Batman, done.
Maybe.
No, you were just like, ah.
Yeah, I will say like for DC, it's Batman, like for sure.
Honestly, I'd have to agree with you.
Yeah. For Marvel,
but honestly,
it's Thor. Anyways.
Okay. Yeah. No, I would say Batman's my number one for DC, but Joker's might be my number two. Like character. I know you said heroes. Yeah. But like character-wise, I love Batman and Joker. I love their stories. I love their comics. I love their animated shows, their interactions throughout real, fake, drawing, cartoon, like always my favorite.
Yeah.
But my absolute number one of all time, Deadpool.
Captain
I've
Deadpool.
always loved Deadpool. Some of the first like actual comics I read were Deadpool. And I really got into all of that. I was a big fan of Deadpool before they announced the first movie. And I remember when they put out the first teaser trailer, I was like, this isn't actually going to happen. There's no way. And then it happened. And I'm like, yes, this is crazy. Nobody even knew who Deadpool was. And then all of a sudden he's this world icon. So that was really awesome. On my short list, like, Christopher, who are your favorite characters? Iron Man, Deadpool, Spider-Man, and Batman. Apparently I really like characters in red. So
Iron Man, Deadpool, Spider-Man, Batman. Yeah, I mean, those are great characters. I mean, it's hard. It's funny because there are some characters out there that it's like they're hard not to love. Like I get like some people are like, oh, Superman versus Batman type of deal, and you know what I mean, or like Captain Marvel's like because of Brie Larson and kind of controversial character, you know what I mean. But I think there are characters out there that are just like universally loved. I think Spider-Man is one of those. I think Deadpool is one of those. Although I guess some people could really find him annoying, but I love him. The Scarlet Witch is one of my all-time favorite characters. Wolverine.
Oh yeah.
And Cyclops. I got a lot of love for Cyclops, man. Scott Summers, and I'm really excited for James Marsden to come back. Mm-hmm. And I got to tell you, I think Gambit's really cool. I've never been like, Gambit's one of my favorite characters ever, but I'm really excited for Channing Tatum to return as Gambit in Doomsday. I can't wait to see what they do with that because I think it's going to be really cool. But
I got to get some love out for Star-Lord as well. Another character who probably wasn't really all that well known, probably wasn't all that well liked. Guardians of the Galaxy comics were some of the most unsuccessful comics in history. And then James Gunn and Chris Pratt went and rewrote that character's trajectory through the world. And Chris Pratt became one of the most famous actors alive right now. Yeah, he's in everything. Totally. And James Gunn went on to take care of DC. So that's how well they did with that. So I think Star-Lord needs a little bit of modern day love as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I do love Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Batman and Wonder Woman as a day. So it's like, yeah, you know what I mean? So those aren't really in any order. We'll have to think about it more. If you want us to do some top 10s, top 5s, top whatever, please let us know in the comments. You can also find us in our Discord server. We read it. We interact with people in there sometimes and when we can. But we are watching it. We're asking for input, and you can help dictate the show. We're gonna do this pre-recorded show once a week and a live show once a week. So in a couple days or a few days, we'll have to lock it down. Be on the lookout for that. But join the Discord. We'll put it in the pinned comment. And thanks for stopping by today. This was a good one. I liked it.
Really good. Take care, everybody.
Peace.